Hello there. Welcome back to the Sky Guys podcast. We are on the road to the Mandalorian and Grogu. We are now into chapter 11 of Mandalorian, episode 3 of season 2, the Heiress this week. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Phillips. With me, as always, man, his voice is your narration every single week. Pete Consadori is here. Pete, how are you?
Doing good. I'm very upset we had to see the frog people again. However, it was not as bad as the episode last week. So excited to talk about this one.
Yeah, so you're not disappointed about the fact that Grogu got to witness the miracle of life?
No, I am disappointed in subtitles though. Talk about it a little bit.
Yep. Also with us today, he decided not to go sublight. He decided to jump right to this episode. Nick Fraietta is here. Nick, how are you?
Doing wonderful. Great episode. Excited to talk about it.
Yes, this week can get you last week. Any thoughts on the passenger?
Yeah, it sucked. That's it. It's the worst, the worst episode of the season. No, not the series. It's definitely better than the.
Toro Calican still exists.
Yeah. Probably the second. Maybe others. I can't really think of any off the top of my head, but probably one of the top five, top three worst episodes of Mandalorian. But that being said, we're not here to talk about that one. We're here to talk about a good one. This one.
Yeah, we are here to talk about a good one. And joining us today, our guest for this week, we brought a throwback back here. First, we haven't talked to him since The Acolyte. That's the last time he came on the podcast. So he got scarred by that show, decided to take a hiatus. Now he's back. Mike Brescia is here. Mike, how are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Good to see everyone. Mike, Nick, Pete, good to see you guys. Yes, definitely happy to talk about some Mando as opposed to talking about the Acolyte. I will say that. Did scar me a little bit, but excited to talk about some exciting things coming up, right? So happy to be here today. Thank you guys again for bringing me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I think I'm trying to check the archive, see which episode. Yep. You came on for episode 7 of The Acolyte in July of 2024, which was the second half of the second time we saw the flashback. And Mike was like, I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to give things a chance, right? You always
Yeah.
want to give it a shot, but just sometimes just enough is enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enough is enough for sure here. And Pete want to subscribe us on the Sky Guys. Do so Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, Amazon, all usual suspects. Simply search for the Sky Guys or podcast platforms. You can find our episodes there. And we won't no, we're on the road to the Mandalorian and Grogu, and we have a lot more Mandalorian to cover before the movie comes out. So make sure you subscribe as we go back on this journey here.
Yeah, subscribe. Make sure you're listening to the stuff we already put out. Listen to this stuff, the new stuff. Helps you guys out if you're interested in the content. Helps us out because you're subscribed. So go ahead and click that button.
Yep. And Nick, people want to follow us on social media. How can they do that?
You can follow at Sky Guys Podcast all over social media, or you can email the pod at skyguyspod@gmail.com.
Yeah, I think the last time Mike was here, we did not have the Sky Guys YouTube channel either.
I don't think so. That started, I think, about a year ago.
Yeah, so Mike is now coming into a brand new podcast world.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Always good to see things expanding, right? Some great stuff here. So, you know.
Yep. Let's go to our social media comment of the week. We'll go to TikTok. Here's from our year in review episode of 2025. We've got Skeleton Crew, and this is from GamerNT7983 says on TikTok. Skeleton Crew was very fun. It seemed to fulfill its goal, which is to be an old 80s style adventure. I love that kind of stuff. It was fun. I was surprised at how fun it was. Mike, have you ever gotten into the Skeleton Crew?
Yeah, I absolutely did. And to be honest, it kind of gave me the Stranger Things kind of vibe, right? Like you said, sort of that 80s suburban feel, just a bunch of kids, kind of almost like a coming of age kind of show, right? You learn a lot along the way and discover all sorts of things. So I thought it was great. I thought it was a fun ride to be on watching that show.
Yeah, I would like to see more of these characters, Nick, if we don't get another season of the show at least.
Sure. I doubt we get more of the characters unless we get another season, but yeah, absolutely.
You mean you're not geared up for the big Neil versus Thrawn fight in the long delayed Mando versus Grogu movie, Mandoverse movie?
I don't think that Mandalorian movie is going to see the light of day, but we're about to get there when we talk about news.
Yep, and there's a lot of news this week because we talked about this last week with Pete and Max, who filled in last week for Nick, that we got the Kathleen Kennedy transition has arrived, and Nick's going to cover all the fallout here.
Yeah, well, It's officially been announced. She announced her departure from Lucasfilm with Dave Filoni and Lin Brennan named successors to her as co-leads. Filoni's going to do the creative side, and Brennan's going to run the business side.
That's not new. We had heard this already. So that what's new is what comes after this.
Well, there was a bunch of stories and an interview with Deadline. So we have a bunch of updates on a bunch of Star Wars projects from Kathleen Kennedy having all these interviews. First of which is the Mandoverse movie had been put on the back burner, and I want to say and reiterate this right away. As I have mentioned the last couple of years on this podcast, they are not making it clear enough that this is a different movie than Mando Grogu. I got 3 text messages saying they canceled the movie in May. No, they didn't. It's a different movie.
Yeah, from what I was led to believe, basically from the articles, is sort of like that they were gonna do this sooner, and then when this transition talk started happening, they came out with the Mandalorian and Grogu instead. Let Favreau work on that, so they Filoni can work on other things.
Yeah, so that one is gone. Well, I mean, well, not gone. Put on the back burner. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
see it one day. My prediction is we will see it eventually as a Disney Plus release.
I think a limited series. I'd say possibly.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, okay. Let's go.
yeah. I was just going to add to that too, Mike, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I definitely think that there's a lot of potential with a Mandoverse kind of movie or some sort of content. So, I think eventually they have to come together and create something for us. My concern is, though, is as we go down the line and as time goes on, will will there be that, much potential and that much excitement for it? I think so. And I think the fans will want it, but, you have to think about all the other conditions involved, right? So who knows?
Yeah, definitely for sure. And Nick, I think maybe we should just rapid fire all the movie updates and we'll sort of react at the end. Because otherwise we'll spend like
Yep, we're gonna go through. I got about 7 or so. So,
Yep.
Kathleen Kennedy also said the Starfighter movie was designed as a standalone story, but they're very happy with what they found with Flynn Gray, who's the young actor from Ireland, and are open to continuing that story if the movie does well. Okay. James Mangold and Bo Willimon turned the script for Dawn of the Jedi that Kathleen described as incredible and mold-breaking, but the project is still on hold. Taika Waititi turned in a script for his movie that Kathleen Kennedy apparently finds hilarious. I'm not sure if she finds it hilarious that he actually turned in the script or not. That remains to be seen. Donald Glover has turned in a script for the Lando movie. That's probably pretty hilarious too. The Hunt for Ben Solo was described by Kennedy as a great script, who followed up by saying anything's possible, anything's a possibility if someone wants to take a risk. That movie's on the back burner as well. Kathleen Kennedy also claims that Ryan Johnson got spooked by online reception to The Last Jedi and pivoted away from his trilogy, to which Ryan Johnson tweeted, "I was never spooked," or something along those lines.
Yep.
Simon Kinberg turned in a 70-page treatment, excuse me, turned in a detailed 70-page treatment recently for the first film of his trilogy, and Lucasfilm experts expect more from him this upcoming March.
All right. So to summarize here, basically, Dawn, like Starfighter is intended as one, can be more if we want. We have 2 movies on the back burner, which is the Mangold movie and Hunt for Ben Solo. Taika's movie and Donald Glover have scripts in. Who knows, they get made. The Ryan Johnson thing, his own thing. The Kinberg stuff sounds like they're keen on doing a new set of movies there. I think the big thing to be coming out of this, Nick, is this quote that she has in here that anything's a possibility, somebody's willing to take a risk, which to me feels like a direct shot at Disney saying, let us make different things. It's like you feel like she took a shot at Bob Iger in the way out, saying he's kind of stifling them.
Well, to me, the big takeaway here is if someone wants a clean picture, the only upcoming movies there are Mando Grogu and Starfighter. Those will both definitely see the theater. Anything else is, between you and me, probably not going to happen, but maybe it will.
Yeah, I tend to be more of the camp Pete that like, okay, like maybe there was some chaos going on with the transition situation here, which might sort of why Filoni's got parked and a couple other things are in the back burner here. I think also Disney under Iger right now seems to be in this like belt, like tighten the belt mode, trying to like basically do as little risk as possible with their projects here. And it's giving us, I think, look like a very safe movie in Mando and Grogu that they think will do okay. But to me, like the franchise is not going to do much if you're not going to let them take a swing at something.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand being safe, right? I mean, I think of the projects that have come out recently, um, at least in the TV series form, have been very hit or miss, in my opinion. Even the new series, the new season of Mando was kind of a miss for me, and it might have been for others as well. So I think trying to play it safe with a box office where they need that revenue to justify more movies or even continuing your franchise, I think the safe bet is probably the best business decision. But I agree with you too. If you play it safe every time, or if you don't make this interesting, that can also kind of bite you in the ass too. So we'll see when the movie comes out, but from a business standpoint, I can understand making projects on the safe side for now, especially because of the polarizing effect that Disney Star Wars has had on the audiences.
Like anything you want to add before we let Nick keep going?
No, I was gonna say I'm excited to see some more Star Wars content in the theaters. I mean, I think the risks that Disney took, with the with the sequel trilogy, it is what it is, and then Disney took a step back creating the television content. So I think now's a good opportunity, right? I think playing it safe is a good idea. Like everyone's saying, something that we all know and love, Mando and Grogu, and give it a shot. I think people do miss that experience being in the movie theaters. And I know Nick knows I'm a huge movie goer, right? I love going to the movies, the whole night out. It's fun. So I miss that aspect, and I miss being with other people to enjoy what I'm watching. So I think it'll be a very exciting thing for this movie to come out.
All right, Nick, I think we move forward here.
Sure. Kathleen also mentioned in her interview that her biggest regret was how they handled Solo, feeling they put Alden Ehrenreich in a tough spot to try and succeed Harrison Ford as Han.
I will say here, again, they got the wrong takeaway from the movie. Like the problem was not that Alden Ehrenreich was Han Solo. The problem is they put out a mid-movie 6 months after the Last Jedi came out. The fans hated it and competed with Avengers. That is why the movie failed, not because they recast Han Solo.
Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah. All right. What else we got?
There's a rumor circulating online that season 4 of The Mandalorian will likely still happen. It will come out after Ahsoka season 2. So the movie will not be the end of our duo.
Yeah, I think we need to. I think if this to me, Mike feels like we don't really have anything to pipeline for Disney Plus, and we need to put something on it. So why not just do a Mando season? We'll just have Pedro Vio, and we'll do we'll just put 8 episodes out like 2027 or something.
Yeah, well, that's taking the easy approach, right? That's not being as risky, right?
Yeah, that fits right in with what Bob seems to be prioritizing right now.
Yep, yep.
All right.
All right, next is, according to the Wrap, Rick Famuyiwa.
Yeah.
I know he's directed a lot of episodes of The Mandalorian. It says here 6 actually, and the Ahsoka season 1 finale. Was working on his own live action series that is now in limbo.
Yeah,
No,
the big takeaway here is basically I feel like, and there was another article that mentioned this, that sort of like there is a feeling around Disney sort of that like now the transition is settled and we have people in charge, they're gonna try and put their own spin on things and put more stuff into motion here. So I think like the dry spell will start to ease up a little bit soon.
Yeah, and our last piece of news here is that Disney has announced significant content updates to Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland, California. Darth Vader is going to arrive on April 29th, and the park is going to incorporate more of the original characters and storylines. Sequel characters will remain active in the sequel-focused elements, and the changes are only occurring in California as of now. But I did see actually a map already of how they're doing it, and it's going to be like kind of half and half in a way. Original trilogy and sequel, they're kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say cutting back on sequel, but they're kind of adding in other, or at least original for now.
Yeah, they're shifting the emphasis away from the sequels a little bit. Try and
Yeah.
remind people like, hey, you love Darth Vader, you love Luke Skywalker. Look, they're here.
Yeah, it is. It really, they should teach classes on how badly they fumbled this franchise. And this is ridiculous at this point that we have to go out of our way to show, hey, look, will you like this, right? Like, it's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. That it for the
But
news?
here we are.
Yep. Is that it for the news here?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. We'll keep an eye on some more fallout here from this probably in the coming weeks. But we have an episode of Mandalorian here, Chapter 11, The Heiress, which was the third episode of season two. It aired, I believe, November 13th, 2020. I'm going to double check the math on that. Yep, November 13th, 2020. Like written by Jon Favreau, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. This episode has the live action debut of one Bo-Katan Kryze, who is obviously a very famous character in the animated canon of the show. We have some interesting stuff going on here, so I'll toss to you, Nick. Like, what do you think about this episode?
I think it's really good. There's a lot of good action. It's a fan favorite. You get to see Bo-Katan. People are very excited to see her. First time in live action. An obvious casting choice. Not only are you getting the person who played the voice of her, she kind of looks like her too.
Yeah.
So that worked out perfectly. Um, you get rid of the frog lady, but she helps out. She helps. She does a good job watching over Grogu. It really is a good episode in many, many ways. There's really not many negatives you can say about the episode. I'll spoiler. I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 later on when we do our grades, but it's really good, and I don't have any complaints.
Yeah, Pete's also like I know we talked about runtime of the episodes before. This is a 32-minute episode in term without the credits, but it's a tight 32 minutes. Like there's a lot jammed in here. I think they give you a lot of fun action. They give you some world building with the Mandalorian stuff and the backstory for the Children of the Watch, that sort of myth dump we get here. And they advance the Darksaber plot theories you were complaining about last week. They take too long to get back to.
I mean, they don't really advance it. It's one line.
Yeah.
It's one line, right? I mean, I hear you, and I agree. I think this was a typical filler. I think this is more of a filler kind of format than maybe the last episode was, even though that was also a filler episode in my opinion. We get some good content, some good action, like Nick said. But, you bring up the storyline. I feel like we don't really drive the story until the end of the episode, and then we have to wait till next week, right? So we're at 2 or 3 weeks now straight of a new season where we haven't driven the story really forward at all. So that part's disappointing rewatching it, and remembering that piece, but it's still a cool episode visually and just being able to see Bo-Katan in live action and hearing about the Children of the Watch and all that. I think that's a pretty cool piece.
Mike, what do you want to add before we start diving into specifics?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it was great rewatching it because you start to pick up on everything in the show. But one thing I'll say is right at the beginning, right, watching them land on Trask, it's reminded me of a Christmas Eve dinner. You see all the seven fishes walking around, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm getting hungry here. So thought that was pretty funny how they have everyone walking around. It was
Yes.
good. It was a good episode.
Yeah, definitely a fun episode here. So, Mike, I'll go to you first. Like, what's something we kind of since you don't need to, everybody's watched the episode. We're not going to go beat by beat. What's something from this episode you want to talk about?
So I thought it was interesting when you first meet Bo-Katan and her crew, right? And to Pete's idea here. It is rather brief how you meet them for the first time, and you go through a little bit about the lore, right? You learn about the Children of the Watch versus the Night Owls, but it's just interesting how you get to see the almost the I don't want to call it discrimination, but you see like the prejudice right away as soon as Bo-Katan and her crew they take their helmets off, and Dennis is completely set back from that. So you see how they're of the same the same kind, but to see those differences and to see that level of not resentment, but they're being held back from one another. I thought that was interesting, and different, interesting dynamic to include in this show.
Yeah, P, I do think it is like the Bo-Katan arrival here. It does feel like a sort of very like religious differences sort of deal where you're looking at okay, like we both are the same kind, but we don't sort of agree on like how like we do things philosophically. That was a fun wrinkle to get to Star Wars, where like a lot of times like, hey, like I know you, like you know me, we're the same group. Hey, we're best friends. Like there's actually friction because they don't believe the same ideal belief systems.
Yeah, I mean, I think she starts off like, "Oh, he's one of those," in that way. I'm paraphrasing, and I think it's funny. She was like, "You're trying to be the old ways of Mandalore. We're not like that anymore, or hasn't been like that." And Children of the Watch probably have those very traditional values of you don't take off your helmet, your gear, and all that kind of stuff. So if that's all he knew, right, and being in that portion of the Mandalorian culture, it's easy to see that separation. Now, granted, they all help each other in the end, so they kind of come back to a cohesion of sorts. But it's an interesting dynamic to see that not all Mandalorians are created equal in the sense of what they believe in for the Mandalorian culture.
Yeah, and Nick, also I'll also throw in here. I do think it's important here because this is a through line that sort of teases out that like from here forward with Mandalorian as the show in terms of like Mando's belief system gets tested over the next like season and a half as he tries to see like what's the right way for me to be doing things.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a very good point. I find it really hard to believe though that how old do you think he is? I know we can get an exact age, probably about late 30s at this point.
Probably like mid-30s earliest.
And he doesn't know that there are other types of Mandalorian. Like that sounds crazy to me. Like he's all over the galaxy doing jobs he's never heard of or seen other Mandalorians that are not part of like the Watch.
Well, I mean, we don't know what circles he's traveled in.
I mean, we're led to believe based on everything we've known about him that he's all over the galaxy gunslinging.
Yeah.
I find it crazy that he did like is shocked that they exist. Like where you been? Like he was alive during all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point here. So I do think I'll go to you next. What's something else you wanted to bring up in this episode?
The action. I thought it was trying to think back really quick to the rest. I think it's the best action we've gotten this season so far.
Yeah.
And it's probably the best action we've gotten in the entire show outside so far outside of the season one finale. So I think we have great action to talk about. So yeah, let's talk about the action.
Yeah, Mike, the action on the like especially I think like now we get like Bo-Katan saves Mando's ass not once but twice in these fights with the Quarren, which is like already a fun act sequence. And then you get the extended we're seizing the freighter. We're gonna go like get all our like cargo back and liberate it from the Empire. Like and you have the four-person strike team moving through the ship. You got the great sequence where Mando is, at the end, like when they're running into it, he's basically running, taking hails of blaster bolts from stormtroopers before he throws six grenades into their cabin and blows them all up. Like that's like the really cool action you get in this show, which I think like I'm excited that we got to watch that again.
Absolutely, I thought the same thing. I was thinking about how extreme this level of violence was because if you think about it, when they're seizing the ship and then Moff Gideon gives the message, you know what to do. Long live the Empire,
Yeah.
right? And then as soon as that happens, you could see all hell's about to break loose, right? Where the the pilots, they get killed, right? And then it's just taking the ship down, right? Taking the ship down along with everyone on it. It just goes to show just the level of commitment and I don't know, there's just the extremism that the Empire held on everyone. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because Mike brought up the Empire, and it makes me curious. And I was thinking this, and there might be an in-universe explanation for this. And if there is, please let me know. But in the original trilogy, it made sense that there were stormtroopers, right? Because that was the government. You got a job as a soldier or for the army, essentially, and you're a stormtrooper, and that's your job.
Yep.
Who are the stormtroopers now, and what the hell are you doing?
To
They're
me,
not they're not the government anymore. You go get a job to work for the quote unquote army, you'd be part of the New Republic Army.
mhm.
Who are you? What are you doing? You mean to tell me there are this many loyalists to the cause of whatever Moff Gideon and Thrawn are doing? I believe that for a lot of the high-ranking officers and whatnot. For the stormtroopers, I just have a hard time believing it.
the money might be better than what the New Republic offers. That's what
How
I'm
could
saying.
it be?
Yeah. Well, we see
How could it possibly be?
Palpatine controlled the banks. I mean, they probably are sitting on
But
like,
they're gone. Like he lost the war. They don't control the banks anymore, so that money is now part of the New Republic.
yeah,
In
well,
my mind.
assuming they found it.
What do you mean found it? Like it was a buried treasure?
No, I mean it's probably got redistributed, be my guess, like beforehand. It's like, okay, everybody has their things, and maybe the throne
I
group is
want
better
to know
managing their
if there's
money.
an in-universe explanation for this because you might be right, and that
Well,
could
yeah.
be it.
I think it's just
Well,
money.
can I add one thing? Let me just one thing about the stormtroopers. Remember, as Obi-Wan once said, they're weak-minded, right?
Yeah.
And that's why the Force works so well on them. So, if they're weak-minded, if they're loyal, whatever the case may be, maybe they just I don't know. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. And I will say also, Pete, like I do think it's crazy that we had a Star Wars show basically. Like we had like the captain of this ship once like Gideon gives the order, okay, like they've taken too much. We can't like be caught here. Do what you got to do. We basically go full kamikaze at the ship basically, and then literally like off himself when he gets captured by Bo-Katan. So like that's like something we have not really seen from Star Wars too often.
And I think that was the model of the Mandalorian when it first came out. Something we haven't seen, pushing the limits, maybe more a little bit of an adult show that could be shown to kids, maybe, you know. So I'm not terribly surprised. It's something that we really haven't seen theming wise in Star Wars before. And you gotta remember, this is not, Star Wars run by George Lucas anymore. This is Star Wars run by Disney, who was trying to capture a population of people that like George Lucas's Star Wars. I think Mandalorian was a great gateway show for people who didn't know Star Wars, but I think it was also a great come to this new content because you like Star Wars kind of piece as well. So I think they try to cater to the adults like us who, grew up watching the sequel trilogy, excuse me, not sequel trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the adults that watched the original trilogy, and then you have the sequel trilogy we don't talk about.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll throw to you next, P8. What do you want to bring up from this episode?
I just It really bothers me that we don't really push forward this season yet. I think the next episode we get with Ahsoka Tano is going to be the push forward, right?
And
We're finally getting
we're not there yet either. That's another week out.
right. So is that this was the third episode of season 2, correct? It was
Yeah.
9, 10, 11, right? So like you're 3 episodes in, and I feel like the main storyline, it's just been help me and I'll help you, help me and I'll help you, and then the little help that Mando gets could have been in one episode, right? Like there's not a lot of content there. So that's just the part that I've been driving home about Mandalorian since we talked about season 3 recap and what to expect from Mandalorian and Grogu. But I just think it's wild that we're not really getting much. I mean, literally this episode, maybe 2 minutes out of 37 was talked about the forwarding of the show. So I find interesting that there's really not much content there.
Yeah, Nick, I feel like they're kind of caught between like, do we want to be, the serialized show that tells the one continuous story and you have to watch every episode here? Or we want to be this, hey, like Mando's having an adventure this week, and that's what's happening here. I think they're kind of trying to decide what show they want to be. And season 2 kind of shows that.
Yeah, they're kind of flirting with both. And if you remember, season 2 was filmed same time as one, or right, or back to
Right.
backs.
Basically back to back. Like, they were filming 2 or 1 was airing.
Yes. So the point being, they didn't wait for the reception of one before 2 was created and made. It was kind of just done. So I think they're kind of flirting with both, and they're not really sure what direction they want to go in.
Yeah, because like they do enough to move the plot.
And it's the first show too. Remember that?
Yeah, it is the first show, and they have 2 full seasons out before anything else airs.
Right.
Yeah, and Mike, I'll also throw in here too with this show in terms of the sequencing here. I do think it's interesting with how this plot comes together here because like we get a lot going on, with the especially like it feels like it's a very lore dumpy like, oh, he finally found more Mandalorians, but look, they're not the same Mandalorians as the ones he's been dealing with, and like they basically use this as a way for us to learn information we're gonna need later, and like. And could this have been an email like Pete is saying? We could have done condenses into like a tighter couple episodes, sure. But I feel like they want you to sort of like not get overwhelmed while you're going on the journey with them.
Yeah, I could see Pete's point, but at the same time, I think I think it was okay, to just give a little dab of some lore, right? Just give a little taste of what's about to come. while Din and Grogu are figuring things out, in their current situation. I think it was well done at this point. We also get this amount of action in the episode, so having that with a little bit of lore, I think it does make for a decent episode. But the idea is that you don't want to have back-to-back episodes that are sort of quote unquote fillers.
Yeah.
Right? If the filler is meant to be something to bridge between two very action-packed, content-heavy episodes. So the idea, yeah, you can't have back-to-back of these smaller like episodes.
Yeah, I would push back on this being filler. I think this does move the story forward more. I feel like this season, in terms of this, I look, one is definitely like the start, two is filler. This I think is fine. The next week is more filler. Because we
I
definitely
mean, Mike, I'm going to ask you the question. Tell me, except for Bo-Katan saying, "Does he have the dark saber?" and Moff Gideon popping up as a hologram for 30 seconds to say, "Crash the ship." What gets pushed forward in this episode? Not leading to next episode. Like, what in this episode pushes the story forward?
is that he also finally meets more Mandalorians. He told about in episode one. He said, "Okay, I
Or-
need to find my kind help me my quest." And then he learns, okay, I now have the location and name of a Jedi, so I'm going to go that way now. So I think he's gotten the information he needs to push the story forward.
Right, but remember, him finding these Mandalorians is irrelevant at this point, right? If we're watching this season 2 from the beginning, right? If season 2 just came out, I just watched 3 weeks of season 2. Nothing has happened with Grogu. Nothing has happened with the Mandalorian. He found Mandalorians that said, "If you help us, we'll help you. Here's the name of the Jedi that you're not going to see this episode. You're not going to find for another 2 episodes." They're irrelevant at this point. I hear you. Like, yes, there's certain things, but if this was in the middle, like, season 1 ended with a cliffhanger, right? We have Moff Gideon, the Darksaber. Like, I expect by episode 2 some shit to be happening. We're at episode 3, and not much is happening other than help me and help you and all this back and forth. Cool episodes. Like, the production quality is great, action's great. Like Mike said, decent episodes. I'm not complaining that, like, oh, this is a drag to watch. But imagine these 3 episodes were in the middle of big time shows, right? I use Game of Thrones laws as an example, right? Imagine this was like in the middle of Game of Thrones and you just got nothing for like 3 episodes out of 8. You'd be like, what the hell? What am I watching? So that's kind of the point I'm making. There are like mentions of stuff, but like if you really think about it, nothing got driven forward
Yeah,
in this episode. It set up other episodes in theory, but like nothing happened in this episode for the main story.
yeah. Well, we'll agree, disagree on that. I do also feel like with this show, they're, as Nick said, they're kind of trying to figure out as they go. They have not like mastered the art of the writing like as perfectly as like Tony Gilroy is basically fully formed when he shows up on Andor. Like they're not talking about that level here. Like this is let's have a good time and dump some lore and set up a couple of things. Like, and I think like if you look at it as sort of like if this is a 16 episode group, it's okay. This is really the first act of Mandalorian as a franchise here. Like you're still kind of, I could get your point. Okay, we're here. This is kind of, we're still fillering and we're getting to the big point. Because you kind of got group 1 and 2 together.
One had some episodes that were filler too, but I digress. We won't keep going further on that.
And Nick, the other thing I'll throw out here too, I feel like the structure makes sense because like as we see in this episode, like and we've seen with Mando, like he does not know how to be a dad. He has no idea how to like take care of his kid most of the time. He's basically has no support system because his covert's scattered at the end of after the events of season 1. So he's like kind of bumbling, stumbling on his own to try and figure out what he's supposed to do to get this kid home. And like that, I could get why it takes him more time to get the answers he needs.
I agree. I think that seems like he's never been by himself now, what we're gathering. The fact that he didn't know the Mandalorians existed and had different beliefs blows my mind still. But I agree with you that he has to learn everything on his own now because he can't find his kind anymore.
The armorer is one hell of a cult leader.
The armor, I'm still convinced, works for Maul, but we'll see if that happens in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get that in the movie. I don't know.
Those horns on the helmet are not an accident.
We'll get there later, Nick.
I don't even know if we'll
Those
see
horns
her.
are not an accident.
I don't think we'll see her in the movie either. But that'd be my guess.
I would think you're right. I don't think we'll see her.
Yeah, because we'll get back to this here. A couple things I wanted to throw in here is like Number like the and actually we talked about the big one at the end here. Like this is a very rare instance of like Star Wars on the water when we get the whole thing where Mando goes into the pub and learns, oh, like your Mandalorians will like we'll sail you to some. And then like I can't remember like very often seeing Star Wars like on the open water. It was usually like a space or like desert show or
The
franchise.
the only water I can think of is Camino, and that's very different. That is not what you're talking about. Like what you're talking about,
It's on the open. It's just like
I can't think of any.
it's like a pirate
Episode
adventure,
one.
basically.
Mentioned episode one with the Gungans.
A
At the
little bit.
beginning.
That's
It's
true.
under. It's not on the water.
No,
It's
yeah,
in the water.
yeah.
This is like a pirate sequence, basically. Mike, what do you think about that whole like Mando out at sea portion before he gets tricked by the Quarrens and Bo has to come in and save his ass?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love all the water scenes, right? The Quarren acting as pirates.
yeah,
They look like pirates too, right? They're shaped heads.
yeah.
Very interesting, those squid heads, right?
Kind of look like what's his name from the movies? The guy from the pirate movies. I forget his name.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
Davy
Davy
Jones.
I think it's David Jones. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it is.
And Pete, I know it's the filler part for you. I'm sure you were probably annoyed that like we have the fight here and then we go back on the ship and it's another group of Quarrens led by the guy's brother. It's like, hey, you killed my brother. Like now we're gonna pay. So they're like this is basically Quarren gang fighting.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Who went back to tell him? They all got killed out in sea. How did they find out that the guy died?
Yeah. It's a good question.
That made no sense to me. That made no sense. And I gotta be honest, the other thing that pissed me off about this episode is the subtitles and the frogs spoke. Said man frog speaks frog. I wanted to throw something through the TV. Make up a language. Make it up. Right? Or just frogman speaks. Frogman speaks in frog. I was like, this is ridiculous. But yeah, who went to tell the brother they died? Everyone on that boat died in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, not great storytelling.
Not good continuity.
Not good writing.
That's a good point. I liked a lot that maybe I'm wrong. What are the species again?
The Quarren.
The Quarren, and then you also had some of the Mon Calamari there as well.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I'm wrong. If I am, please correct me. We've never really seen what those species do outside of you see a couple in the Senate, you see Amrlak Bar, of course, on the ship, but like, what does the majority of them do? And that kind of makes sense. They're like
They're fishermen people.
fishermen and
Yeah.
like quarrymen and stuff like that. It kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah. I also did enjoy, I did like the running like the bit with the guy who was supposed to repair Mando's ship, who does a completely shitty job. And at the end, like Mando's like, I gave you 1,000 credits. This is the best you can do. And he's like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean they did. I think they do a good job with, and I think this has to do with John Favreau kind of being in charge. I know he's not directing the episodes, but he's kind of being in charge. But it gives you the same type of humor that you get in some Marvel stuff, where it's not early Marvel stuff. Let me reiterate that early Marvel stuff, like early MCU, I should say, because it's not overwhelming in your face. Like here, laugh at this, but it's also like kind of fun, like little chuckles is what you get, like what you get in Iron Man 1 and 2, not what you get in Thor: Love and Thunder, where they're basically begging you to laugh.
Yeah. Definitely a good point. Like that guy was funny. Like again, he basically like conned Mando out of a lot of money to do like a basically put the ship together with like string and with like rubber bands and duct tape.
And then Mike at the end, when you hear Dingo and Mon Calamari,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
All right. One other thing I want to bring up here is we get the Frog Lady and Frog Man like reunion. We get also that they're looped back into the storylines. I forgot about this part where like Mando says, "Hey, like, can you watch my kid while I go, do a job?" And then we see like Grogu obviously sees the eggs, like, "Oh, I eat the eggs," and then like one of them like hatches and like he like is mesmerized by the birth of a baby frog and wants to take one home with him. So, Mike, what do you think about Grogu basically experiencing the miracle, what is in the miracle of life for the first time, just being like completely inspired?
Oh, it was very cute. I thought it was a cute, cute scene there, right? And it's, a little heartwarming to see, after all that fighting, right? And after all that violence that you see in the episode, and then towards the end, right, you see the miracle of life coming together. I thought that was a nice little contrast to end in the episode.
Yeah, Nick.
I need to talk about the content. I need to talk about the continuity errors here.
Yeah.
Yoda is 900 years old.
Yes.
Yoda said he'd been training Jedi for 800 years.
Yeah.
Meaning Yoda started training Jedi at 100 years old.
Yeah.
Grogu is 50. Grogu acts as if he is 6 months old. Are we led to believe that when he's double that, 12 months old in human years, he'll start training Jedi? I feel as if being 50 years old, he should have already seen someone give birth.
I think, well, also remember, he's probably hidden whoever knows where for how many years after Order 66. So that's one thing I think to throw out here. And I think they sort of view Grogu as like the puppy. And when you have a puppy, the puppy go from 6 months to a year old, they learn a lot between those 6 months.
They do, but he needs to train Jedi in 50 years in order to be on the same stage that Yoda was.
Yoda could also be a complete prodigy. It could take this guy a lot longer.
He could be. I think this is a continuity error.
Pete, any thoughts
on the continuity or the
frog story?
This is what bothers me. Like, to me, who gives a shit? Right? It's heartwarming. You're trying to do it for the fans. Kids are watching. Got to make a series out of 8 episodes. It's a long longer than a movie. But whenever we watch Star Wars content, we went to the theater. Every scene had a purpose. We moved the story along. There was a reason why we saw someone, met a character. Yeah, there was comedic relief sometimes. But, like, this is literally a reskin of the season 1 episode where Mando drops off Grogu with Peli Motto and says, like, it's too dangerous. Let me go. Like, it's the same shit. So, at the end of the day, it's cute, whatever. To me, like, it just shows they really didn't have much of a plan for season 2 either. They just threw what should have been just 1 season of Mandalorian, and they made it 2. That's what it is. That's what it is. They could have made seasons 1 and 2, 1 long season, long meaning 10 to maybe 12 episodes, and called it The Mandalorian, and it would have been better than stretching it out of 2 from the rewatch. When I was watching it at first, it was nice because, like, oh, it's Mando, but from the rewatch, I'm just getting so angry with, like, the lack of pacing. So, to me, yeah, it's cute, but, like, again, what does it matter? It matters nothing.
Yes, so P is firmly in the camp that season 2 is aged worse on the rewatch than it does in the real time.
Yes, 100%.
All right, so anything else you guys want to add on this episode before we start wrapping things up?
Yeah, I was just going to add to Pete real quick. Pete, I wonder, when you rewatch other shows, like not just Star Wars shows, but with other shows in general, I wonder if the same thing happens, right? Like you pick up on, some of the lags in the shows, and you think, oh, you know what, they could have done it better this way, or they could have condensed it better. Well, yeah, I wonder how often that happens when you rewatch shows.
Yeah, I mean, at least for me, my personal opinion on it is sometimes I see the lags like I do in Mandalorian, but sometimes I see stuff that I didn't see before, and it makes it better. I mean, it happens both ways. The reason why I'm being so critical of it is because we were super critical on the Acolyte, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was not written well, whatever, but every episode moved the story forward as much as you didn't like it or not, right? Between the panel here talking about this is the first Disney show, so they didn't really know. These people have created shows before in their lives. They're professional directors, professional writers. It's not an excuse. If you don't have a lot of content because you don't know Star Wars, don't stretch it. Just do what you can. And I think that's where Star Wars Disney has gone wrong, is they haven't had a lot of content because either George Lucas is like, I'm done, I don't want to worry about it. So like, well, what do we do now? And they've been stretching out one idea that should only be 1 season into 3 or 4. Or they get lazy because they just want the profit. I think it's the former, not the latter, right? So I'm being overly critical because if you really look at Mandalorian, I said this before with season 1, if you look at all the episodes and you look at what actually is good story-driven content versus filler, it's pretty damning that half of the show doesn't move the story forward. And then they just undo it all in Boba Fett and season 3 anyway. So it's like, what do we do all this for?
I'll throw a counter out here to this also. You said that these people have made shows before and all of that. This was Jon Favreau's first show where he was the showrunner. Remember, Jon Favreau's background is movies, so like you can understand why like the
I
pacing's
mean,
issue with that.
he wasn't involved in the Clone Wars.
No, that was Filoni.
Oh, Filoni. Okay, so that's I thought Favreau had something to do with it. Not even Rebels.
No,
Favreau,
Favreau just did the
Favreau-
voice of Adviz.
That's why I thought maybe he was involved, was because of the voice acting.
yeah, he
Look,
showed up,
I mean,
he showed up, collect the paycheck, basically.
okay, yeah, but see, there you go, right? He only knew movies, so he knew how to do really good content for 3 hours of content, not 6 or 7.
Yeah, which
So
is
that's a bad hire, right? That's not. You have to look at it that way. Like, why are you hiring someone that's never done a TV show to do something on a major property like Star Wars? Not saying
I think you're going off the rails. I think you've
I think
gone
you're
nuts.
Oh, I love
I
it
think
though.
you are.
I know.
Yeah.
I love being repeat though. I think that he has some good thoughts here.
I think Mando's been one of the most successful things they've done since the acquisition, and
Yeah.
I think he's a big part of that.
It's probably I think in terms of commercial success, probably number one. In terms of just the
Commercial, absolutely. In terms of critical success, it's got to be number 2, right?
Let me pose this, and I know I'm going on a tangent. If Grogu is in the show, is it as successful? Not because of what Grogu does, just because Baby Yoda is in it. Is it as successful?
It's different.
No, but I don't think that proves it.
Yeah. So is it the
different show.
show or is it Baby Yoda?
They had a great idea and they did something good with it.
Oh, it was a fantastic idea. I give them that 100%. Strip Baby Yoda out of the show.
I don't think it's a fair. I don't think it's a fair argument.
No, it's completely
you can
different.
say that about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, because they
Take
completely
dragons out of Game of Thrones. Is it good?
Yeah, I would actually say it's still good.
It
You
is,
don't need
but
the
is
dragons.
it just as good? No, it's worse.
Yeah, it's like to
Take
me.
Iron Man out of the MCU. Is it as good?
Oh,
You take the hoop out of basketball. It's still a good
Well,
sport.
the reason why I say it is because I don't think people like Baby Yoda because of the content around Baby Yoda. I think they thought it was cute, so they watch it. I think that's the difference I'm trying to bring up. Obviously, if you take away the main character of the movie or the show, it's not going to be the same show. I agree with you 1,000%. But I do think The Mandalorian had two things on its side. New Star Wars content looked badass with the Mandalorian armor because everyone loved Boba Fett and all that kind of stuff. And we had a cute thing that brought in audiences that don't normally watch Star Wars. You literally look at all the other Star Wars properties they've made. It's either been a reskin or it has not done as well, except for Andor. Andor was the outlier. But guess what? Andor didn't do as well as the Mandalorian. And I think Andor is a vastly greater show than Mandalorian. So I just feel like it had a lot of things that went right, but I don't know if it was the content.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that one. I feel like there's an episode in about 2 months where we're gonna have a great conversation about this. Anything else I want to say before we start wrapping things up this week?
Yeah, you bet. None of you better give an LVP to Sasha Banks.
No, that would I will get to the LEP. That's a very obvious LEP this episode. And it's not Sasha Banks.
Good.
All right, so we're going to go now to the MVP LVP board. These are the best and worst characters of season 2 as rated by us. So, Nick, since you were not here last week, I'm going to ask you, why did Mando get the MVP from you?
Because he was the only one who knew what to do. Yeah, frog lady running around. She doesn't speak. Grogu going around eating eggs. If it wasn't for them, they'd all be dead.
Okay, so I'll explain to you what happened here with the MVP board here. So Mando stayed at +3 because somebody gave an LVP point last week because he had a very bad week in terms of actually getting stuff done. So,
I think he did, but if he was the only one who was sane in the episode was filled with insane people.
Yeah, so here's who got the MVPs. Carson Teva got 2 because he is sort of in command of the situation the whole time. And Pelimato got 1 for being able to just basically rip Mando off left and right and just pulling errands on him. So that's who got the MVPs.
You know how I feel about Pelimato now. It's been a complete 180. I'm a big Pelimato fan.
Yeah, because I gave her the MVP last week. I said she's the reason why that she pawns off some of her problems on Mando and she basically gets her to cover her bets. So
I'm all for it. Big Pelimato fan here.
Yeah, so those are the 3 MVPs of the season so far. The LVPs are Pelimato's Dumb Droids, the Tusken Raiders, the Mining Collective from week 1, Frog Lady from you, Grogu from me, because he eats the egg that triggers the whole spider destroying the ship, And Pete gave one to Jon Favreau last week. Because
That's funny.
Pete directly said the writing, and to see who wrote that, so I said Jon Favreau. Said John's on the board.
That is funny to me.
That is pretty funny.
All right, so that's the board so far. So
It's funny to me because you're right. Grogu like is the LVP, but it's like funny because it's like it's Grogu, so it's like it's cute that he messes up.
yeah, and I think somebody gave it to Mando for the account of like this all started because Mando did not feed his child, basically had no answer. We got pulled over by the cops.
It's true too.
All right, so let's start here with the MVP. Nick, you're first this week. Who's the MVP of the week?
I think it's Bo-Katan.
Yeah,
She saved him twice.
yeah, not twice.
So put it simply. So I think it's clearly her.
Mike, who you
You
got?
could even change if you want. You could say like if we'll see what it gets to at the end. We can streamline it and make it Bo-Katan's crew. You know, whatever we'll streamline whatever we need to at the end.
Mike.
Yeah, I got some different thoughts about Bo-Katan, which we'll talk about soon. But I think for MVP for this episode, I guess maybe Mando, right? I think maybe Din is MVP because he just so happens to stumble onto this crew, and then he gets an idea on where to find this Jedi, right? Where to find Ahsoka. And to Pete's point earlier, this happened all out of happenstance, right? It was how Bo-Katan just showed up, out of nowhere at this point. I think it was a blessing for Din to figure out his next move. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Mike gave Mando the MVP point as soon as he saw Mando like basically bomb all the stormtroopers away. He said, "That's it. That's the MVP."
Oh yeah, I mean that as well. that was incredible. Yeah.
I'm with Nick on the Bo-Katan point here because I feel like not only did she save Mando twice, like she's the big winner of the episode because not only did she get her goal done, she gets this ship, she gets the cavalry of the weapons in her possession, she makes a new acquaintance in Mando, and she gets a lead on the Darksaber. So her has been her driving goal to get this thing to reclaim control of Mandalore. So Bo-Katan had a great week. So Pete, I'll go to you.
Yeah, I am also willing to bet. I know it's off screen, but you know that part where they're like, close the door. He's like, which one? And all of them, and then where are they? They're in the cargo hold, right?
Yep.
We don't see who opens the door. I'm willing to bet it was Bo-Katan who opens the door.
Yep. All right. Pete, who's your MVP?
Yeah, Bo-Katan. I mean, you guys said it all. I mean, she gives the information about Ahsoka Tano, the Darksaber. I mean, she's the only one that I feel like has any storyline relevance at all in this episode. And she's a total badass in this episode too. The action's great. So giving her the MVP.
All right, we'll go the other way for the LVP. I see Mike has a controversial take here.
Yeah, I was gonna throw this out, hot take, because everyone's all saying Bo-Katan, but I think, and I'm coming from it with a different lens. I think Bo-Katan might be the LVP in this perspective because she is trying to find the Darksaber.
Yep.
And she doesn't, right? She stumbles onto the ship. The captain is taking the ship down. They're getting so close. They found all this, ammunition and guns and the ship to use, but she's trying to inch closer to finding the Darksaber, and unfortunately, she does not get there. And by the time when she's trying to hold the captain prisoner to get more information, he kills himself. So I think that sort of leads her, to trying to figure the next move. So from that standpoint, I think she might be the LVP in this standpoint.
All right, so Mike's on the board here. I will say to you guys also, before I reveal who my pick was, there was one point in this episode where I wrote in my notes, instant LVP for their actions here. Do you want to take a guess who got that?
Mando?
No.
Frog
Okay,
lady.
I don't know.
No.
The problem that he got home. She came home.
No. It is I looked up the character's name. It's the deck officer on the ship who thinks he's got this all figured out because he traps them inside the control room for the cargo hold and then gets himself and all his stormtroopers blown off the ship because he trapped the intruders in the room that could blow them out of the ship. That is the easiest LVP of all time for me.
Mike, I thought so too. I was going to say that I think that's the most obvious as well, but I wanted to throw out the hot take, my thoughts on Bo-Katan.
Yeah,
So,
because for me it's just like I wrote instant LVP as soon as I saw that scene. Like that
yeah.
guy was an idiot,
He
and
was so happy, right? And he was so ready to
he was so proud of himself. It's like I trapped him. I did it. He's like Tyson Walter's like you trapped them where?
yeah.
All right, Pete
Jon Favreau,
again.
100%.
Yep.
Again, look, it's not. He's a great look. I can't do what he does. I say this all the time. I'm just someone who cares about what I think. I'm just critiquing a show. But he had two scenes be exactly the same, where Bo-Katan's crew saves them from the Galamad people, whatever the hell they are,
Yeah.
right? The how does the brother know that the brother died? Everyone died on the ship when they're on the thing. And then I don't know. This is something I caught continuity wise. When Grogu has the alien thing sucking on his face from the chowder, Mando goes to stab him. The knife doesn't even touch the little squid thing. Doesn't even touch it. It just is in the air and the thing falls. Terrible. How do you let this stuff go on in a multi-million dollar, billion, whatever it is, platform and brand? How do you let that kind of stuff go? It's either rushing or laziness, and it's just you got to be better in that sense. He's a great writer. I can't do what he does. I'm not trying to say I could do it better, but in this instance, I have to give it to him again.
Nick, wrap us up here.
Actually, we're all going to have different LVPs. It's great. I'm giving it to Mando. I think it's definitely Mando.
Yeah, he gets
He
pumped. He gets
First
pumped.
off, he pays a guy $1,000 for credits to do nothing to his ship. He trusts them with Grogu, and they almost kill him. He gets stuck in there himself. He's trying to find Mandalorians, finds them the wrong ones. This was a complete waste of time. Yeah, the only thing he got out of this was I know where a Jedi is.
Yeah, he got
That's an email. That's an email.
an email.
Proves my point about the episode.
he got
That's
punked
an
a lot.
email.
He gets gotten punked a lot
But
the last 2 weeks.
but although it was, I think the real answer for MVP, like I think it's the deck officer. You're right. Like that's like the clear. But I want to kind of not. I like to shy away from some of the characters that I know we'll never see again. But to be fair to Mando, the action sequences involving him, especially when they board the Imperial ship, fantastic.
To be fair to Mando, like to you, like he was on my radar for LVP until the deck officer got himself blown off the ship.
I mean, yeah, that was funny.
Can we all agree that's bad writing if
Yeah.
the main character is doing all these things that make no sense and literally got nothing out of the whole episode?
I don't think it is bad writing. I think it's that he doesn't know what he's doing.
That,
And I think we're supposed to know that as the audience.
yeah, I would take it as that way. 'Cause, I mean, this is a guy whose job is bounty hunter. His job is not search and gather and find the Jedi.
Sorry, I'm gonna call you out. The whole point of a bounty hunter is to search and find and kill and do. So I feel like that's totally contradictory. Like that's literally his job is to find and be resourceful and to find the things that people can't. So I don't know. I'm gonna die on this hill, even if I'm wrong and I get blasted in the comments.
Well, Pete, you're right.
The
He has a lot of
rewatch of
skills. Yeah. Yeah.
The rewatch of the show has kind of showed me that always thought of Mando as this badass gunslinger. And now when I watch the show, he still is a great gunslinger. That's not going to take that away from him. But as I rewatch the show, I realize he's kind of an idiot. He knows nothing. He knows no one.
He's
He doesn't know what he's doing in just about anything except shooting.
he's a little bit of a meathead.
I guess that's a better way to put it. He's kind of a meathead, and I kind of learned that on a rewatch more so than I did the first time. Maybe I should have picked up on it the first time. I don't know, but he doesn't have a clue what's going on here.
Yeah, I feel like I think like he sort of like don't know how much credit we can give to like the armorer for like teaching him skills and whatnot. But you wonder here, like now he's
Well, I
basically
know why.
Yeah, now he's cut off and on his own. Like he's not doing as well as he was when he at least had them to go home to.
Well, forget the in-universe. Let's think of a real life reason. Why do they make him a meathead in real life? Because if he's this badass who knows everything and taking names, we're all going to say, well, where the hell was he the last 20 years during the Empire versus the Rebellion? Now it's, well, this is why they didn't involve this guy. He doesn't know his hand from his foot.
And also, you have no show if he knows everything he's doing either. Like
Exactly. So
the
this,
show-
in a real life example, it makes sense.
yeah, it's just sort of the problem you run into with they ran into with 11 in season 5 of Stranger Things, where they just nerfed her power down because like, oh, if we just let her do this, we have no show.
It's why the Hulk is always has some sort of problem in a Marvel movie because it doesn't. You can't write him.
Yeah. Yep, that's true here. So let's grade the episode on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is worth 978 holiday special. 10 is out there at the Prison Break episode of Andor and the Foreman arc as well for the pinnacle of live action Star Wars content. I'm going to start us off. I'm going to give this an 8 because I had a lot of fun. I think we advanced the story enough. I know Pete disagrees with me on that, but I think for what we had here, good episode, a big rebound from last week, where last week was terrible. This is a solid episode. We got great action in it. We got some good lore dumping. I'll give it an 8. So I'm going to project Pete here next. I'm going to say this is a 5 or below.
No, I'm giving it a 6. I think the action and the cameo and the like I think all of that has its value, and I think that's good. However, if I'm watching this 3 weeks in, waiting for something to happen and nothing's happening, I would be pissed. Like we're a month in and nothing's happening in the show. We've been getting the same episodes we got in season 1, where it's like do a job and get nowhere. So, it's a 6 because I think the action's great, Bo-Katan's great. I think there's a lot of great production value there, but the story is just it's falling flat for me on the rewatch.
Yeah, I also wonder, thinking about this in the real, like, I wonder if we were sort of also, remember, this episode comes out in the real time in the middle of the pandemic in 2020. We're getting almost no new content of any sort, and we have this show every week. So I think a lot of us are also very happy. Oh, we're getting something new to watch on TV. We're stuck in our houses, as opposed to like, oh, I'm gonna go through the plot of fine tooth comb and find all the things we're finding on this rewatch. That's my sort of argument with it.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I mean, I'm definitely being more critical of it on the rewatch for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back right now and see who did this episode with me on Just on the Suffering. While I do that, Nick, what's your grade here?
An 8, the same as you, and I think the action is great. It's a lot of fun episode. And I gotta say, there's a big piece that I think we missed that we did an entire bracket on this. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first character we've ever gotten from animation to live action.
Yeah, I
Am I
believe.
wrong?
I think you're correct.
I think I'm right. Yeah, I think I'm right. I could. We'll have to double check that, but I think I'm right. So and this obviously inspired. You can't really count Ahsoka because this. I know this came out 2 weeks earlier, but it came out at the same time. You see what I'm saying? It's season 2 of Mando. They
Yeah,
filmed it all together. But like these two kind of like think about how many spawned from this.
yeah,
We've been over them, with the whole Ahsoka show, with the with what's his name coming next season in this show, the hell's his name, the big guy from Rebels, what the hell, Zep.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, a lot of this stuff it sprung a whole new idea into Star Wars.
yeah. And I did look it up here. Nick D'Alessio did this episode be back in the real time on Just on the Suffering.
Oh, the fourth Sky guy.
Yeah, yeah. One of the substitute Sky guys. So, Mike, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, sure. I will go between you guys and Pete. I'll say 7.
Okay.
And basically, it's repeating what everyone else has said here. Good action. It was fun. You have the little heartwarming scene at the end, even though Pete is against it. He does not think it has any part of the story. So I could see that. And it touches up a little bit on lore, right? Like we said, touch up a little bit. It gives a little taste for what's to come next. So I'll wrap it up with the 7.
Yeah. All right. So that's where we're gonna leave this episode this week. Next week here, we're going to chapter 12, which is the Siege, and this is our one trip to Navarro this season. So we get to see, Mando link up with Grief Karga and Cara Dune to take care of an Imperial base. Grogu goes to school. Like that's what's going on here next week. So Pete cannot
Oh,
wait.
school episode.
Yes, Pete cannot wait.
How is no one else concerned? Like I feel like this is like a home run. Like we're halfway through the season next week, and like still, all right, whatever. We'll talk about it next week.
All right, so that's what's going on here. Well, thank you guys for coming on here, Mike. Thanks again for coming back on. It was a lot of fun getting you back in the fold here.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun for me as well. Just want to say thank you guys again. Always look forward to coming on. Mike, Nick, Pete, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yep, and Pete, people follow you on social media. How can I do that?
At Conti29 on Twitter, CONSY29. AP Tyler 308 posted this background on Reddit. Make sure you check him out.
Nick, one more time. People follow us on social media. How can I do that?
At Sky Guys Podcast all over social media and email at skyguyspod@gmail.com.
Yeah, you can also follow me on social media at mphillips331. It's MPHILIPS331. Please go over to Just End the Suffering podcast. We are getting you ready for the Super Bowl here. We recapped the conference championship games. We got the Super Bowl headlines to watch here in this episode. And Nick, can you believe the easy road the Patriots had to get the Super Bowl?
It is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we're recording this before the game, but I would give it probably a 90% chance they move on.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the real time before Bo Nix gets hurt. The look ahead line of that game was Denver -1.5. And that line shifted 6 full points when Bo Nix got hurt.
That makes sense for a quarterback injury, but I think assuming New England wins, whoever wins in the NFC will get a pretty decent matchup.
Yep, we do not know who won at the time of recording. We will know when we record next week's episode. We'll talk about chapter 12 here. We'll know that. But until then, may the force be with you.